How's it everyone, this is Lolcohol, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing some tips to help you have a better league start. These are going to be general tips. This is sort of part 3 of the video that I did before. There's 2 videos if you missed them. Those 2 videos have layout tips to help you get through the campaign more quickly. However, these are more general tips that will help you speed up. A lot of these tips came from my friend Timmy. You'll find links to his Twitch and YouTube in the description, and I'll also let you know which one of these points are his and how he's helped elaborate on them. First tip, and this one is actually very important, it helps you do a lot of things, but that is setting a move only to a keyboard button. You don't want to just have your movement skill on your left click. The reason we do this is if you only have it on your left click, you cannot do inventory management while moving. So if you want to do stuff, you can kind of, but it's a bit of a pain. You have to kind of keep clicking here. However, if it's on your, in my case, F key, I can do all sorts of inventory management while I'm moving like this. You can also assign skill points. So I'm still moving in the background here. You'll see I'm now over here and over here. So if I want to level up, I can be like, okay, here's some points, and I'll be at the bottom of the stairs. So yeah, make sure you do this, set up keyboard button to move only. It will help you keep moving while you're going. Next tip, this is going to be to know your gems on league start. Know where you're going to get your gems, which gems you need. If you've played any of my builds, you'll have seen a spreadsheet a little bit like this, and I normally make one of these just to help people find the gems. So this is important. Act 1, I know I'm getting these gems, and I know I'm getting them at these points. So after I've done breaking some eggs, I know that I need to get these gems, and I'm going to be getting it from this person. So try to, if you want, you can make a spreadsheet like this. This will be very helpful. At least have a general idea of where you're getting your gems. So you know, okay, I'm getting some aura type stuff, Herald of Ice and Skitterbots in Act 2. But if you can be more specific and figure out where you're going to be getting these gems, from where, from who, it's going to help you speed up because you're not going to be wasting time in town looking for things. There is this website, PoE Roadmap, which I don't know if it's broken, but you used to be able to pop in a path of building code, hit submit, and then it would show you all your gems and where you're going to get them from. I'm not sure. Does anyone know how to make this work now? It might be that PoE, my PoE at least, has multiple gem setups, so it's freaking out. So the way it's supposed to look, and if you can get it to work, it would be great, but it's like this. It'll show you added lightning damage, you get it in Act 1, the Caged Brute from Tarklee, and it'll also show you gems that you cannot get on your class, so you'll have to get it from Siosa or Lily. Otherwise, you can do this manually. It actually might help to do it manually by going onto PoE Wiki and typing in each gem one by one. I know it's going to be a pain in the butt, but it might help to sink in to type in something like Arcane Surge Support and then take note of it and say, all right, on my witch, I'm going to be getting this. Okay, I don't get it there, but I get it after enemy at the gate. This might help it settle in a little bit more. Next important tip is going to be know your gem links. So especially in the first couple of acts, knowing what color items you need. So for example, blue, blue, green, or red, green, or red, red, blue. What you can do is pop open your Path of Building, and I do this in mine. I have a little leveling thing, so I can see, okay, in Act 1, I need to have a blue, blue, green item, and then I need a blue, 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 and then also another blue socket. And then if I want to do a Holy Flame Totem, I should also keep an eye out for a red, green item. Going into Act 2, I can see, all right, it's pretty similar. I'm mainly prioritizing blue, 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 and blue, blue, green. And over here, I know, okay, when I'm in Act 3, I need to have a 3 green, 1 blue. Now, one tip from Timmy, which is important, is to have alternatives. So if you are running through the campaign and you only find, let's say, for example, I find a 4 link, but it's blue, blue, green, green. I know that instead of using added cold damage, I could instead use added lightning damage. So be slightly flexible. in terms of that, but try to keep a lookout for these specific items. If you know how to do loot filters, try to have these that highlight. So if you know I'm a spellcaster witch, add a thing to your loot filter that is blue, blue, green wand, or just generic blue, blue, green items. Very important. It'll help you go a bit faster where you don't have to mess around with gear in the first couple of acts. Another important tip is knowing your tree. So during the campaign, you don't want to have to pop up your path of building every time you level up and see, okay, I need to go here, then I need to go here, then I need to go here. Try to memorize your tree, but Timmy says a good way of thinking of this is to memorize it in terms of broad strokes. I really like this description. So instead of saying, okay, at level 2 I need to get this, level 3 I need to get this, level 4 I need to get this, think of it as, all right, we're going straight up here, and then we're going to get Heart and Soul, and then we're going to be rushing Elemental Overload. So you don't need to remember individual points, but you just know the broad strokes. And then for my next set of points, at least on this build, after grabbing those, we're going to be rushing for Written in Blood, pathing through these. So this you can do, again, you can level up while you're running around in the background with your movement key on the keyboard and be like, okay, we're going this way, up this way, and like that. So try to remember the broad strokes of your tree during the campaign. So setting up a leveling tree like this is quite helpful, just to help you figure things out as you go. Another thing, and this is going to take practice, and it also kind of ties into the previous points, is try to stay out of town as much as possible. If you're in town, you're not progressing through campaign, so when you are in town, try to have some kind of purpose for being there. So let's say it's to collect a gem from a reward, or to collect a passive skill point from a quest. Maybe it's to check Tarkley to see if he has any movement speed boots, so we can see there. Or maybe we're looking for a green, green, blue, so we can see, all right, he doesn't have that. We can check Nessa. We urgently need a green, green, blue. All right, she doesn't have it. So there's a common adage, which is the hideout is lava. You don't want to spend too much time in your hideout. Rather get into maps, get farming. Try to do the same thing in the campaign with towns. So if you're in town, know why you're there, get what you need to get done, and get out of there. And while we're on the topic of towns and looking for items you need, there's these things called regexes or regex. I'm not quite exactly sure how to pronounce it. These are things that highlight specific items that you need. So you can get very specific ones. So if you would like to make your own regex or regex, you can head over to this site. It's POE.RE. And you can select some of your links. So let's say on my leveling build, I know I need blue, blue, green, and I need blue, blue, blue. It'll create this for me. So I can just click this and go copy. Also, what you can do early on in the first couple of acts, movement speed, this will add this NNE because the magic modifier for 10% movement speed is runners. So it's just highlighting NNE. 15%, I assume it's sprint. So you can do this and see what do you need. I would recommend getting your primary links, at least for Act 1, and then also a movement speed boot. And then you can also, if you want to look for +1 ones, you click this. You have a length of 50 characters. So just look at this, see what you need, and then add it, and then copy it somewhere and keep it safe. So you can have one for Act 1, you can have one for Act 2, as many as you need. There's also these ones on the side, maybe map modifiers. Things like you don't want to roll reflect, you can create regexes like this. But for this part of the video, try out this site, create yourself a regex so you don't miss any important items at the vendor. So if you really want to be a massive nerd and get a lot better, something I did when I was sick of 12-hour-long campaigns was I learned some basic layout tricks. You can check out those videos linked in the description. But then what I did was I ran 3 characters through the campaign, but 1 act at a time. So I got 1 character, went from Act 1 to 2, then I re-rolled another character, went Act 1 to 2, 3rd character, same thing, and then once I'd done that, I took those same characters and ran them Act 2, just did those 1 back to back to back, Act 2, Act 2, Act 2, Act 3, Act 3, Act 3. That way, at least, it helps solidify some of the tricks in your mind and also helps you with buying the correct gems at the right place. So if you do have some extra free time, I know it sounds like a pain in the butt, it sounds like a waste of time, but if you spend 20 hours practicing, you're going to save hundreds of hours over the long run with your leveling process. Next tip is going to be to only do quests that you have to. So don't do all of the little side quests. I almost never do the clear the fetid pool ever. The quests that I do though are obviously the main quests that you have to do, but then the quests that grant passive points, and then sometimes ones that grant you something like a quicksilver flask, like Mercy Mission where you get the medicine chest, but try to avoid any non-necessary quests. Another side note from Timmy is to make sure that you do these passive point quests while you do the campaign. It will save you time, you're going to get a lot of power from those quests, and also it's going to prevent you from backtracking once you've completed the campaign to go back. I know it sounds like, oh, I'll just go back on my level 60 character and do all of them. Promise you, it's slower that way. If you want to know which quests you need to do for passive points, I'm going to put a link in the description to a PoE wiki page. It will show you which quests you need to do and when to get those passive points. I'll also put them on the screen now. If you want to take a screenshot, check it out. But make sure you're doing your passive point skills during the campaign. Another bonus thing is make sure you are doing your labs throughout the campaign. So learn where the different lab things are. In Act 1, we have a lab trial in the prison. In Act 2, we have a lab trial in the Chamber of Sins. And in the crypt, in Act 3, we have a lab trial in the crematorium. And then in the marketplace, off in the catacombs, and then down in the Imperial Gardens. Get to the point where you know where these are. You don't have to search it every single time you do it. So after getting your 6th trial in the first 3 acts, you want to do your lab either immediately or once you've made it to Act 4. Just do them, get them out of the way. Again, it provides a huge amount of power. For the second half of the campaign, you're going to want to do your lab trial in the prison. In Act 7, there is another one in the crypt and the Chamber of Sins. These are the same as in Act 1 and Act 2, so you don't need to remember too much for that. Then once you've done those and you've reached Act 8, this is when I would do my cruel lab. Then for the last few trials in Act 8, we have the bathhouse. Act 9, we have a trial in the mines or the tunnel. And then in Act 10, you have your final lab trial in the ossuary. And then you want to do your Merciless Lab, the 3rd labyrinth, just before killing Katava, before you get that minus 30 elemental resistance penalty. So make sure you do those. I put them on screen, write it down, and make sure you do it. Now some more bonus tips from Timmy. These ones are very important. Firstly, know how much currency you need to buy gems and crafts. So in Act 1, a lot of your gems are going to be costing Scrolls of Wisdom, but then also transmutes. So you know, all right, I need to get transmutes. How do you get transmutes? You can either just find them or you can sell unidentified items to vendors. However, in Act 2, a lot of these gems are going to cost alterations. Actually, they exclusively cost alterations. So if you know that you need a Herald of Ice in Act 2 and you're not getting it from a quest, for example, then you need to have an Orb of Alteration. So you can get Orbs of Alteration by selling identified items to vendors. So once you've got all your gems in Act 1, you know, all right, I need to start selling some rare and magic items identified to start generating Orbs of Alteration. In Act 3, again, it's going to be mainly Orbs of Alteration and Orbs of Chance, but by this point in the campaign, you should generally have a little bit of currency lying around where you should be able to get that stuff. So, yep, just remember Act 1, mainly Scrolls of Wisdom and Transmutes, and Act 2 is going to be Alterations primarily. Another tip from Timmy is to try and remember the cost of bench crafts throughout the campaign. You don't need to remember all of these, but let's say that you're doing a spellcaster, something like cold damage to spells, you're going to find this in Act 3, I believe in the Solaris Temple, level 2, and you see it costs 4 transmutes. So as a spellcaster, especially this league since we lost the recipe, you're going to need to use this. So by the time you're at the end of Act 3, you'll want to have some transmutes. And then in Act 7, you get this, and you'll know, all right, I need to save 2 orbs of alchemy for this bench craft. So these are mainly going to be transmutes and alchemies. Another thing is resistances. If you want to top up your resistances, you can see this is just 1 transmute and 1 alchemy. So keep in mind the costs of the primary bench crafts that you're going to be using through the campaign. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully this helped you all before League start. There are a few hours left before the start of Crucible League, so if you want to get in quickly. Otherwise, at least look at your POB, try to figure out when you're going to get those gems and learn your passive tree at least a little bit. Do what you can. I promise you, if you implement as many of these as you can, and you also learn some of the layout tricks, and you just put in a tiny bit of work, you will save so much time on your campaign forever in the future. I used to take 12 hours at least to do the campaign and all my labs and all the passive points. I one league decided I'm sick of it. I spent, like I said, probably 20 hours or so, maybe even less, just learning this stuff, practicing, and ever since, I now consider a slow Act 10 to be about 6 hours. If I can do 5 hours, I'm pretty happy. 6 hours, I'm like, it was alright. I've literally cut the time for the campaign in half. And if you get really good, if you put in lots of time, you can be like Timmy, who can get Exarch and Eater kills in under 7 hours and get through the campaign in under 4 hours very easily. So let me know what you think. Hopefully some of these tips helped you. And once again, thank you for Timmy for supplying some extra tips. Again, I'm going to link his stream and his YouTube in the description. If you want to watch some speedrunning, check out his channel. Anyway, have a wonderful day, everyone. Stay safe. Catch you in Crucible League. I will be streaming for the league start, so give me a follow on Twitch and come hang out tonight. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Launching Exile. You're making me nervous.